Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable examiners of today's seminar, Ibu Dr. Armiwati M.Hum, the Honorable Bapak Dr. Mukhlas Abrar SS M.Hum, the Honorable my Supervisor Ibu Delita Sartika SSMA PhD, and the Honorable of my Supervisor Ibu Reny Heryanti SS M.Hum. In this opportunity, I would like to present my thesis proposal with the title Experiencing English Reading on Wattpad, Student Voices. But before continuing to the presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Aprilia Gunadi. My student number is A1B218037. Alright, now let's move on to the presentation. Chapter 1 Introduction Background of the study. Based on the research by Tirochi 2018, Wattpad was chosen over the other apps and websites because it is a community with a lot of educational implications and offers a lot of possibilities for young people to reflect on their consumption habits. Wattpad is an online community of writers and readers. It is a platform for aspiring the author, allowing them to publish their work, receive comments, and interact with other writers and readers. Wattpad includes a feature that allows the authors and readers to communicate with one another by sending direct messages or writing on other users' walls. Wattpad is used by users in two ways. The first is to read and look for the well-known stories that frequently recommend, or as the use of the creative platform, or in other words, for writing their own stories. According to Wattpad's survey in 2018, even the general public is well familiar with the app, that is the Wattpad, and the majority of Wattpad users is the ages in 20 and 25. Wattpad users were anticipated to continue to grow, implying that today users are higher in 2018. At the time, Wattpad users didn't appear interested in forming community or club at anywhere, but now there are so many Wattpad users groups, especially on Facebook. After observing one of the biggest community groups on Facebook and conducted initial data to find out what is the new thing today related to the reading activity through Wattpad, it revealed that now, in Indonesia, Wattpad users not just read Indonesian stories, but they read English stories as well. Most of them are the students and they do it extensively. Many studies have proven that extensive reading has many benefits in language learning. And then this is an interesting phenomenon where students are able to independently explore digital reading, which may have influenced their language learning or language skill, especially in here is English. Furthermore, the researcher discovered that Wattpad has a large number of English stories, particularly when the users select English as the application language or manually just search for English stories version. It covers a wide range of topics and genres, and it also turns out that not every author in here is a native speaker, such as from Indonesia or the other author from non-English country who decides to write story in English. This has happened for a variety of reasons, one of which is increased chance of being read by a large number of people around the world. This condition actually raises a question regarding how accurate the English language is used in the story because the authors can be non-native speakers of the English. However, several types of research have been conducted to look into the potential use of Wattpad to help readers enhance their English language skills. Then good attitudes on extensive reading on Wattpad were shown in the studies. In terms of their opinion of lengthy reading, the students agree that the platform or the Wattpad exercise aided them in improving their English skills in general. Considering this potential of use of Wattpad in helping people with their language skills, the researcher is interested to look at how young Indonesian readers, in this case students, experience English reading on Wattpad by reflecting on their experience to know more about their English language improvement through English stories on Wattpad. such question. Alright, this research is proposed to address one main question, that is, how do students define the experience of reading English stories on Wattpad concerning the learning of the English language? And then, this main question is divided into two sub-questions. That is the first, how do students describe their experiences in reading Wattpad English stories? And then, how do students perceive and use Wattpad as a potential medium to improve their English skills? Next is the purpose of the research. Based on the research question, this particular study aimed at finding out, first, the description about students' experiences in reading stories through Wattpad. The experience here implies their belief and opinion about reading English story through Wattpad related to the improvement in language learning, that is English. And then the use of Wattpad as a potential medium to improve their English skills unconsciously outside the class, which then the results of the study can be used as consideration for educators to start varying reading in class activities to make them more interesting and useful. And then, limitation of the research. The scopes of the study are limited to the subject and object investigated. The first is the subject. The participants or the subject in here involved are only students ages 16 to 20 years from the Wattpad online community or group on Facebook, which is expected to have participants from high school students to university students in various majors. And then the object. In this study, the object is describing students' experiences with reading English stories through Wattpad related to their English skills and their opinions about using Wattpad as a medium to improve their English skills. Next is the significance of the research. The results of the study is expected to be used theoretically and practically. Theoretically, to provide information and contribution and can be the basis for the development of the learning media or the application of learning media in more ways. Digital literature as a means of second language learning, which is the acquisition of a second language, and then to provide explorative information about one of the independent ways to learn a language, so further research can be developed as a guide to developing language learning media through digital literature more capable. And then practically for readers, the results of the study are expected to provide a reference to improve and expand a fun strategy in learning foreign language, which is English, by utilizing technology such as digital literature, that is Wattpad. And then for educators, through the results of the study, it is hoped that they can respond significantly to digital literature as a learning medium or forum for the development of students' language learning abilities. Is Chapter 2, Review of Related Literature. The first is Concept of Reading. It's about reading in general, and then Reading in the Soul, it's about the reading especially for EFL learners, and then Extensive Reading includes the definition, the principles, benefits, and the rules of extensive reading. And also there is a theoretical perspective from Prescience input hypothesis, and also there are the development of English skills by doing extensive reading, such as reading ability development includes reading speed, reading comprehension, and reading fluency, and also grammar development, vocabulary acquisition, motivation, and improvement in spelling. There is also the explanation of Wattpad as a resource for extensive reading. And the last is the previous research that links with the reading activity on Wattpad. 3. Research method. The first is research design. The researcher here used a qualitative case study method for the research. A case study approach is researcher investigate in depth a program, an event, an activity, a process, a phenomenon, or one or more individuals. The case was described in depth in this paper. A good qualitative case study gives an in-depth comprehension of the case, where the researcher forms claims about the general meaning obtained from the case and report them at the end of the study. And then the participant. For the participant at the present research, the researcher will collect the participant using percussive sampling as a tool for participant selection. In other words, the participants are suitable with the criteria that has been made by the researcher. The participants were obtained online through the community groups or Wattpad Indonesia groups on Facebook. And after that, the researcher will choose some participants that's suitable and to have an in-depth interview to have a more wide overview of the experience related to the topic of the research. That is, experiencing reading English stories on Wattpad. The researcher expected the students who are regarded to have had prior experience reading stories through the media began while they were in 16 until 20 years old. As a result, the authors or the researcher divide the participant in the study based on the age from 16 to 20 years old. And then the data collection. The researcher explored readers' opinions and experiences connected to the potential of digital literature, in here Wattpad, as the medium on learning English informally through a case study that is used in-depth interview as the main data source. The interview will conduct as an individual interview because the participants are strangers to each other. To begin, the researcher used the following study procedures to gather the data. The researcher will use demographic questionnaire. One of the goals of this questionnaire or step is to meet the needs of the participant. Interviews will perform both online and in-depth format by the researcher. An in-depth interview is a qualitative research method that involves set of open questions. That is the question that promote conversation, and then with the interviews ability to go deeper into certain terms or responses. Is the data analysis. First, the researcher organized the data, and then the data were transcribed. After that, the researcher explored the general sense of the data. In this stage, the researcher did memo ideas, thought about the organization, and considered whether the researcher need more data or not. And then the data were segmented and labeled to form description. Next, the researcher described and developed terms from the data. This involved aggregating similar codes together to form major idea in database. And furthermore, the researcher added additional rigor and insight by layering the terms. After layering the terms, the researcher represented findings using a comparison table and reported them in the narrative discussion. Finally, the researcher interpreted findings. This involved a review of the major findings and how the research questions were answered. The personal reflection of the researcher about the meaning of the data and the personal views compared or contrasted with the literature and limitation of the study, and then also the suggestion for the future research. Alright, I think that's all about my presentation. Thank you for watching, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.